Hi guys, we're doing a very chilled iPhone intro for this video, okay, because I really want to upload this like now. Both of my camera batteries are dead and my boyfriend's in a meeting where the charger is. So today's video is my February and March wrap up combined, but I filmed it while I was getting ready when I was in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix, because we were running so late on this day. But I filmed this that day and I didn't do an intro for some reason, so this is that. And this is not any sort of an exciting or good makeup look, so I recommend just like listening to this as if it's a podcast. Don't even bother watching with your eyes. But I read some really good books the past 2 months. I think I had like 4 5 stars in total, or maybe even 5 stars. A lot of 5-star reads in these 2 months, so definitely a video worth listening to. And I hope you guys enjoy. I just really wanted to intro this and say I did what I could, and if you guys are interested in more F1 content, I actually did vlog the entire weekend of the Grand Prix. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's just get into it, okay? First book was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I loved this book so much. I read Beach Read by Emily Henry a while ago and loved it. I regret putting off Book Lovers for so long because it was incredible. It's basically about this girl, Nora, and this guy, Charlie, and they both work in like books. I think she's a publisher and he's an editor, but they don't really like each other. I definitely wouldn't say enemies though. I don't think this is enemies to lovers. They just don't really like each other very much. The girl, Nora, ends up going to a small town, which is where one of the books that she published was set, and she's like with her sister for this little girls trip, and she ends up running into Charlie. You know how it goes, you know? She's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And then they kind of end up like working together a little bit more and everything, obviously getting to know each other while they're in this small town. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say without like kind of giving away everything, but it's super good, super cute. I love Charlie so much, and Nora is just like, I really like, very stereotypical New York City boss, and I love it so much. But that was the first book. Like I said, I gave that one 5 stars. Next book was Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This is a thriller and one of the first thrillers I've read. I gave this book 4 stars, like 4.5. It was incredible. It's basically about this like young couple are looking to buy a house, so they're kind of going to like house showings and everything, and then they go see this one house, and as they get there, like snowstorm I think starts, and they end up being like, okay, well, our car is gonna get stuck, we can't turn around, we have no cell service, let's just try and get as close to the house as we can. So they let themselves in, and then they end up figuring out that the house belonged to this quite well-known psychiatrist or psychologist, I think, one of the two, and she actually went missing like I think maybe a few months prior. The wife I think, ends up finding like a hidden room, and it is just filled with all of the therapist's tape recordings from her sessions with all of her clients. So she kind of starts listening to them, has the mentality of like, maybe I can figure out who killed her or took her, and yeah, a lot happens. The plot twist, I thought that I had figured it out, and I was like, there is no way like this is the plot twist, like that's so obvious. And then the plot twist happened and I was like, oh, I didn't figure it out at all. The next book I read was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. Again, similarly to Book Lovers, I read The Love Hypothesis a while ago, and I loved it, but for some reason I just didn't think that I would like Love on the Brain. I didn't think I would like it for some reason. Then when I was in my 24-hour reading challenge, I just picked it up, and I am so glad that I did. This book is like, I guess it's kind of like workplace. She gets like her dream position, and she goes to work, whatever, and then it turns out the guy, Levi, who is technically now her boss, was like her nemesis in school. Like, he hated her in school. He's kind of making her life at this new job hell. And then obviously, you know, they have to work together and everything. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Also, I gave that one 4 stars, but I might change it to like 3.5. Just because I really enjoyed it at the time, but I don't remember it that much, which means it clearly hasn't stuck with me. Next up, Daisy Jones and the Six, 5 stars, incredible. If you somehow don't know what this book is about, now that the show is even out, it's basically about this band in the 70s called the Six, and this singer, Daisy Jones, they end up joining to become Daisy Jones and the Six, and the book is written in like interview format, and it's all about how the band came together and then why the band fell apart. And it's really incredible. Okay, and then the final book for the 24-hour reading challenge was His and Hers by Alice Feeney, which is another thriller. And I gave this one 4 stars, but I'm changing that to 3 stars because I was quite disappointed by this book. This is my first Alice Feeney book. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed by it because I was just like expecting so much more. And I didn't see the plot twist coming. She really got me, but I also like don't think it was a good plot twist. I don't know. I'm sorry guys, that's just my opinion. But it was still like good and enjoyable to read. And I liked the characters, like the main characters and everything. So for that reason, yeah, 3 stars. Next up, I don't even know if I want to talk about this book. It was like a novella that I saw on TikTok and it was about F1, but it's not at all. And it's called Dirt by Dia Daniels. Don't read this. I'm not even going to talk about what it was about. I don't even know, to be honest. Next book was Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This book, incredible. I read this for my reading books recommended by booktubers video, and this is the book that Sarah Caroli recommended me, and literally incredible. The best experience of my life reading this book. It's like, it's friends to strangers to lovers. It doesn't go in like chapter to chapter, past and present. It's in sections. So the first section is present and it's like short, and then the entire like majority middle of the book is the past tense, past timeline, sorry. And so you get like their entire relationship in the past all at once, which I loved. And then once that's finished, you get to the present tense again, and there's like a whole new storyline happening in the present tense when they finally see each other again for the first time. It was incredible. Basically, it's set in New York. It's about these 2 people who end up getting a dorm room next to each other, and so they kind of like just become friends from that. It's very much like strangers to friends to lovers. Like, it's incredible. I can't even like explain it. They just like hang out and do stuff together, but it's so good. And like you can just like tell that they're like meant to be. I loved it, and I highly recommend reading this if you haven't. Next up, I did my reread of Gothicana to annotate it for my friend Ellie. As always, you guys know I love this book and I talk about it in every single video of mine. It's basically, if you don't know, about this girl Corvina who gets invited to this like university, and she ends up meeting this guy, Vad Deverell, who is like her literature professor, and they hit it off, and there's just like so much happening in the castle. There's so much mystery, so much suspense. It's like, it's incredible. And the entire atmosphere and like aesthetic of the setting is so good, and the way Runick's writes, like you can see every single thing she talks about. Okay, the next book was also for my reading books that booktubers recommend, and that is The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins. Again, it was like friends to strangers to lovers, or friends to enemies to lovers, I guess. It's set at like a beach house, which is always so much fun. This girl goes back to the beach house to kind of clean it out and sell it, and it's the beach house that her family and like their best friend family, you know, own together. But she decides she's gonna sell it because something's happened and no one goes there anymore because it's like got bad vibes now. And so she decides she's gonna go sell it. And when she arrives to start cleaning up the place, Will, this guy from her like childhood and teenage years, is there, and he's like, what are you doing here? She's like, what are you doing here? And basically he decides like, you can't sell this house. This is like our house with so many memories. You can't sell it. Stay for the summer and let me try and convince you to not sell it. She's like, oh, fine, I guess so. So she stays with this guy who she used to be in love with her entire life, and kind of relearning to love it, or seeing if she can relearn to love the house. And it goes back and forth in past and present. So I gave this book 4 stars because it was just super fun to read. Next up we have X's and O's by Amy Leah, or Amy Lee. I don't know how to say her name. I gave this one 3 stars overall. I just am at the moment am not in a rom-com phase, to be honest, and I think that's what affected this so much. I think if you really like rom-coms, you would probably really enjoy this book. I don't know, I found it hard to connect with the characters, and really, I didn't really feel a lot from them. I wasn't really sure if they even liked each other for most of the book, and not in an enemies to lovers way, because they're not enemies. But that's just my opinion. I still think it had potential to be a really good book, and if you enjoy rom-coms, there's a very good chance you would enjoy this book. Next up is another 5 stars. That's 3 5 stars this month so far. Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This book was so good, you guys. Like, literally incredible. I highly recommend you read this. It's like a college football romance, but then like something happens and it's like incredible. Oh my gosh. It's so good. It's so good. And they have like a little friendship group. I love this book. I highly recommend you read it. And then for our final book, which I have just finished, Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Also funny because my last reading wrap up ended on a H.D. Carlton book that I gave 5 stars. But Haunting Adeline, I gave it 5 stars. I started this one August 9th last year. And I got like halfway through it. And then I think I was going away, possibly, and I couldn't bring the book with me because if you've seen the book, it's chunky. I actually have it right here. But this book, it's like chunky. So I couldn't bring it with me. I didn't have enough luggage. And instead of ever coming back to it, I just kind of left it. Oh my gosh, guys, I've got 2 minutes to be ready. Yeah, and I never finished it. And then one of my friends messaged me the day and she was telling me how she was reading Haunting Adeline, and it really inspired me to read it again, especially after I loved Does It Hurt so much. So I picked it up and I was like, oh, I'm scared I won't be able to get into it when I'm just reading from where I'm at. I remembered everything, and like the second I picked it up, I read 1 page and was like, how could I ever put this down again? It's incredible. It's such a good book. If you haven't read it and you like dark romance, I definitely recommend. If you don't like dark romance, I'm gonna say stay away from this book because it's quite dark. Like I said, I gave that book 5 stars. I think it's incredible. I love H.D. Carlton. I might be meeting her in a few months, but I still haven't bought tickets to that, and I don't know if I'll be able to find any, but that's fine. Okay, so that is all I have for my February and March wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry that I had to do it like this. We are just very late, so I had to do it while I was getting ready. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!